This is a photograph of me holding my grandfather's hand as we stand outside a shop somewhere in Glasgow, where I grew up. It would have been taken in about 1958, as I reckon I look about too, very smart in my coat, sandals and white socks. My grandfather and I seem rather bewildered and unhappy about something. He clutches my hand tightly as if to make sure I don't run towards the photographer. My feet look as though I am about to take off. Gordon Smart's grandfather's shoes. On the back of the photo, my grandmother Mary has written IWASNT. Going to send this as your dad is a mess, but it's just to give you an idea how Gordon is growing. He's a wee smasher, all our love. The image was sent to my estranged mother in Australia, who had sent me back to Scotland to be raised by my maternal grandparents and my mother's sister, my Aunt Isa. To my eyes, my grandfather looks quite smart with his shirt and tie, not a mess. There is a shine on his shoes, but maybe she meant this because his trousers didn't have a crease, or it might have been that the bunny flat cap wasn't his best. Or it could have been because his jacket sleeves were slightly wrinkled and his jacket was folded back around his waist and the tie was askew. My grandfather's name was William Ray, Willie, and he stood not much more than 5 feet tall. However, this didn't stop him from being taken into the 6th Gordon Highlanders, after whom I am named, in the First World War. He survived the conflict after being wounded in battle and taken to a military hospital in Edinburgh. About a year or so after this photo was taken, he died, sadly, after being concussed while helping to lift a fellow passenger's suitcase from a luggage rack on a train as we went on holiday. The heavy case fell, striking his head, resulting in a fatal brain hemorrhage a few days later. It was so typical of him to want to help someone who needed it. I think the shot captures the moment all the more, because it is clearly not posed and reminds me of how wonderful and loving my grandparents and my aunt were to me. Gordon Smart playlist Miracle, the one pop record my dad liked. Tie a yellow ribbon round the oak tree by Tony Orlando and Dawn. If you received my letter telling you I'd soon be free, then you'll know just what to do. If you still want me, if you still want me, listen to the song. My father, Stanley Butler, detested pop music. To him, it was a disease eating away at society. He tried to pass on his love of classical music to his children, but it didn't go well. My brother joined a band and moved to London when he was 19. My dad was fantastic. He was kind and patient and did his best to make life good for me. He often took me and my friends out in the car. We would travel listening to classical music. When we got to our destination, we sometimes had to wait in the car until a piece of music had finished. When I was 16, I bought my first Black Sabbath album. This must have come as a shock to my father. On the surface, he took it well. He said that he wanted to know what all the fuss was about and would listen to it from start to finish. We sat down to listen. The first track started with the sound of heavy rain. In the background, a church bell and some peals of thunder could be heard. The music was like something from a horror film and the lyrics were about death and destruction. Dad said nothing while the album was playing. And at the end, little was said. Obviously, I was disappointed that he didn't like it. He was disappointed that I did like it. Then, in 1974, a miracle occurred. A pop record entered the charts that my dad really liked. The character in the song had just finished 3 years in prison and was writing to his girlfriend. He said he was going to get the bus that passed through her town. If she wants him back, she should tie a yellow ribbon around the oak tree. If he doesn't see a ribbon, then he'll stay on the bus. Forget about us, put the blame on me if I don't see a yellow ribbon round the oak tree. There is a happy ending now, the whole damn bus is cheering and I can't believe I see 100 yellow ribbons round the old oak tree. My dad died 5 years after this song was in the charts. Perhaps that is why this cheesy song has a place in my heart. However, I still love that Black Sabbath album. Sorry, Dad. Peter Butler. We love to eat Mum's French toast. Ingredients: stale bread, butter. Stage 1, take a slice of stale bread, grill on one side. Photograph David Silito for The Guardian. Cut thick slices of white bread and grill one side. Butter the raw side. Toast, butter side up, till golden, salty and crunchy, like fried bread. We thrived on field-liberated cauliflowers, day-old bread and cakes, kept for us by a friend of my mother's at the bakery, and cat's pieces fish cakes. Mum's French toast was a frequent treat. Times were hard in late 60s Broadstairs and, unable to afford the commute, Dad had a studio flat in Camden, North London from Monday to Friday. He lived on barbecue beans and cheese past its best. Mum had 3 of us under 10 and 3 part-time manual jobs, looking after old folks and cleaning. But she delighted us with hand-drawn quiz games, treasure hunts and a fabulous dressing-up box. We would roam the streets and beaches barefoot and go home when hungry. I fell off the jetty into the sea as a toddler and was delivered home, dried with cotton wool and with a silver sixpence from the harbour master. I would get 1 pack of crisps for 2.5 pence when I collected Mum from the home after brownies once a week, and we would walk home together. Years later, when I was 20 and cooking pop stars' breakfasts at a studio in London in 1984, the American band Manowar asked for French toast. I also remember cooking for the Flying Pickets, cooked our books, Dallas Carr, the Bluebells and the Armory Show. Luckily, they were hungover, avoiding too much fuss when presented with something that was nothing like the expected eggy bread. We all miss my dear, kind, strong mum, who died on the Jubilee weekend in 2012. Now 87, Dad is still partial to old cheese. Zoe Lumsden, we'd love to hear your stories. We will pay £25 for every letter to, playlist, snapshot or we love to eat we publish. Write to Family Life, The Guardian, King's Place, 90 York Way, London N1, 9GU or email family@theguardian.com. Please include your address and phone number.